Hello everybody and welcome back to Faeria. I thought we'd take a few moments to discuss the changes in the latest patch released today. And these changes are actually in several ways quite huge. And we'll start off by discussing Magda. Magda is a very interesting card. The gift of actual creature control, to control an enemy creature, is well, it's unique for Magda. No other event or creature in the game has a similar ability, but apparently this has been considered a bit too strong, and as it's stated in the patch note, especially the combination of controlling an enemy creature with Magda and then taking it out with Feed the Forest has seen a lot of play. And you can, well, it's a fantastic combo, and it was a bit too strong in the developers' eyes, and so Magda is actually completely removed from play at this point. The patch notes states that if you try to take a deck with Magda in it to play, you will get an error message, and you will be prompted to remove Magda from the deck before you can play. I haven't tried this, but that is what it says. And apparently Magda is going to make a comeback, but with a slightly changed ability. So very interesting to see what that will be. Now moving on to the green cards, we see a change to the Oakling, which is now, instead of a 1/5 creature, this is a 1/4 creature. And the Last Words ability is also changed, which previously was a buff a random creature in your hand to gain +5/+5, and now it's +4/+4. So a slight nerf to the Oakling there. Wild Growth has been cheapened a bit. Now it's 2 Faeria instead of 3 Faeria to potentially make it see a bit more play. The blue card, here the Snowstorm Lancer has been changed in a very meaningful way. It has been changed so that it cannot be buffed more than +6 each turn, so it can get up to a maximum of 9 attack. And this turn is to hinder the one-turn kills, that the one-turn kill decks that have been figured this, as well as figured Windstorm Charger with a similar ability, and this has been nerfed in the same way to put a limit on how many times each turn the creature can get buffed. And I think this is actually a good change. The one-turn kills are very neat. They are interesting in their own way, but I think that they actually hurt the game. Yeah, I think it's more interesting if that specific strategy is taken out, actually. And if you want to see this type of one-turn kill in action, you can have a look at the link in the description of this video below, and in the annotation that I'll add here, and you can see in one of my recent games I was subjected to this strategy. So I mean, I might be biased here when I say that this is a good change, because I've just recently lost to this specific strategy, but still, even without that loss, I think that this is good for the game, that this is changed. And continuing on the blue card, here, Mirror Phantasm has been... the cost of Mirror Phantasm has been increased from 5 to 7. But the amount of lakes needed has been changed from 3 to 2. And Ancient Herald has been changed to cost 6 Faeria instead of 5. And the stats have been buffed to 5/5 instead of 3/5, which it was previously. And it now requires... now the gift has been changed so that the next creature with 5 life or more you draw costs 2 less instead of 3 less. Now, moving on to the yellow card, of course, Windstorm Charger we have discussed already. And Windstorm Charger also has had its cost increased. The patch notes actually states that the cost have been increased to 4 Faeria. Here in the actual card, it looks like it costs 3, so I'm not sure what figure is the actual intention of the developers, but 3 it is right now. And if we move on to the red card, then Blood Obelisk has been changed once again. It's been changed several times over the last few patches, and now the current function of this structure is that whenever an enemy creature dies in combat, deal 1 damage to your opponent and gain 1 Faeria. We'll see. They are tweaking this back and forth, and we'll see where it lands in the end. But this is interesting. I think it will see it. It's still a very good card, and it will see some use, I think. Blazing Salamander has been changed. Now, instead of dealing 3 damage to all adjacent enemy creatures, it deals 2 damage. And it has also been slightly nerfed from 3 attack 6 health to 2 attack 5 health. And it now costs 5 Faeria instead of 6 Faeria, so it's a bit cheaper. And I think this is also, I think that 3 damage to all adjacent creatures, it was a very, very strong card, very great control card, and it saw its use in many decks. So I think that this is a bit more nuanced, actually, and I agree with this change as well. And I think that I just passed the Zealous Crusader when we discussed the yellow cards, but this is actually also a rather huge change to this card. The Zealous Crusader is now a 5/5 creature instead of a 4/4, and it has gained charge. So it has charge creature and starts at 5/5, but still gains 1 +1/+1, that is 1 attack and 1 health each time you attack a god while this card is in your deck or hand. So this can be a very formidable threat to play when you have gotten a few strikes in on the opponent's orb. So very interesting, and this could put some new life into the rush type decks, as the benefit of getting a few early hits in is now very much increased if you opt to include Zealous Crusader in your deck. So overall, I think that these changes are very interesting, and I think they're good. I agree with them. It will be very fun to see where this will take the meta, where the game will land with these changes, and it is a very exciting time, I think, in a game's development cycle, where these huge changes to the cards can happen from one patch to another, and these types of huge changes cannot be made when the game is released and when it's finished. But right now the developers can just take cards out and put cards in, and they can make huge changes, and that is very interesting to see, I think, and it's fun. And other than that, they have also just recently announced, the developers, that they will in fact start with monthly ladders now. So at the start of each month, in the beginning of May, the ladder will be reset, so that you'll start, you'll not start at 25, you'll start at a rank higher than one you have, based on how far down the ladder you have ranked. So you'll get moved a few pegs up, and you'll start from there and start to rank down again, and depending on where you end the current season, you will get a reward, and the rewards are split into tiers based on where you end. So it's quite similar to the way Duelist does it. It was a while since I played Duelist now, but they have a similar system in place. So I think this is also interesting. It keeps the ladder fresh, I think. Maybe seasons of 1 month is a bit short to my liking. I would prefer to have longer seasons than just 1 month, actually, but maybe this is something that will change. As I mentioned, this is a phase in the game's development where huge changes can come and go, and it's exciting to see. But well, nothing more to say really. Yeah, nothing more to say about these changes. Just it will be fun to get into a game. So thank you all for watching, and goodbye.